Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Disgustingly Resilient podcast's Foetid Fight Phase, the mini-series where we teach you all the tricks that we can do to get our dirty, rotten little soldiers into combat the most effectively. And in today's episode, we're going to be looking at the core stratagem that is available to every army in the game, Heroic Intervention. Before we get into it, obviously if you do enjoy the content, please leave a like and a subscribe. It does help the channel out massively, way more than you think. And if you really enjoy it, consider becoming a Plague Marine, aka a member. You get access to our Discord and you get access to our Plague Surgery, list reviews, all kind of good stuff and giveaways. Well, thank you very much if you are, and if you aren't, consider it maybe. Let's get into it. So, Heroic Intervention. Well, before we go into that, let's go into what the Foetid Fight Phase is all about, actually, for people who may be tuning in for the first time. It's a mini-series basically dedicated to advanced fight phase tactics. The way it works is we give a live example, so you'll see a video of me at a table doing the actual example live, and then it comes back to me here. So we have table Aiden and presentation Aiden, me, will then break down what you've just seen. And the idea for this series is that we start simple and expand it. So if you haven't watched the previous episodes, I would recommend you go and do watch them. Some of the tricks that we learned from there will play into the further tricks down the line. So understanding that will obviously help you understand what's going on further down the line. But hopefully you should still be able to get a good grasp of things, even if you haven't seen the early ones. But, you know, maybe consider go watching them. So, Heroic Intervention. It is a core stratagem. Now ignore on the left of your screen, it is now been changed to one command point as of prior nexus. So it is not two that you see on the screen there. It is the counter charge stratagem. What this means is basically when an opponent finishes a charge onto one of your units and you have another friendly unit within 6 that is not engaged, you can spend a command point and basically perform a counter charge. So the target has to finish within 6 of your unit that wants to charge in, but you still charge as normal, so 2d6. So if you get 12, you can charge a 12. But it also means you can still fail the charge, so do bear in mind that is also a possibility. So unlikely, because obviously if they're 6 inches away, that means it's a 5-inch charge to make it, because you've only got to get within an inch. So it's unlikely you'll fail it, but do be aware there is always still that chance. Now, another important thing to note, you do not get fight first. Specifically, it states you do not get the charge bonus when you do a Heroic Intervention. Charge bonus is defined as, for this phase, you get fight first. So that's why when you charge with units, they fight before things that haven't charged, because it gives them a charge bonus. If you Heroic, you do not get fight first. So you will be swinging after the charging unit of your opponent. However, as we'll see later, there is ways around this. Beyond that, it is completely the standard charge rules with all the limitations, all the weird caveats, and all the things to exploit as usual. And Heroic seems simple at first. You think, okay, I'll just get my unit into combat with their unit when they charge me. But it's actually deceptively complex, and there's a lot of things you can do with it. And hey, that's what we're here to break down today. So let's go into the goal of today. So that is, we're going to obviously use Heroic Intervention. We're going to use it to set up punishing plays that are going to basically punish our opponent for trying to be aggressive onto us. We're also going to look at denying our opponent plays, so whether that is denying them getting charges they want, denying them getting objectives they want. We're going to use it to control objectives and make sure that we get to hold the objective and keep hold of it. And obviously the last thing is obviously going to make us help get favourable engagements, because the more favourable engagements we get as an army, the more we run ahead with the game, and obviously that means the more likely that we're going to win the game. So let's get into our first example. I'll pass you over to that dickhead table, Aiden. Hope he's good with you. See you in a second. Well, looks like we're back again for another episode of the Foetid Fight Phase. I'm sure presentation Aiden has already let you know what today's topic's all about, and that is the use of Heroic Intervention, which at the new one command point is extremely good. In this scenario today, we're going to be looking at Chthonian Berserks that are looking to charge these Death Shroud. But our opponent isn't foolish and knows our Overwatch. Now, you might be thinking, but Aiden, why didn't you Overwatch the Chthonian Berserks in the movement phase? Thank you, helpful strawman that I'm going to use to help make my argument. But let's say on another objective, maybe my opponent was threatening to flip it off a Plague Burst Crawler with 3 Half-Guard Warriors. So I actually needed to keep the Overwatch in case I needed to use the Flamers on the Plague Burst Crawler to kill those. Therefore, I couldn't Overwatch this. And I thought to myself, I'll just Overwatch him in the charge phase if he doesn't make that move. But my opponent has been very smart. He has brought around his Sagittor to here, and he's going to use his Sagittor to charge the Death Shroud first, absorb the Overwatch, because I'm not going to Overwatch this thing, and once I'm locked in combat I can't Overwatch, and then he'll follow up the charge with the Berserks. And now the Berserk's obviously having flat 3 damage weapons, which will take me to my invuln, like strength 10. Say I've got 2 judgment tokens on me, so I'm +1 to hit and wound. Very bad time to be these Death Shroud. And I've only got 1 command point. I've been foolish. I haven't left myself disgustingly resilient, so I have 1 singular command point. So what can we do in this scenario to ensure that our unit lives? Well, we're going to use Heroic Intervention to basically stop the Berserks doing what they're trying to do. So we're going to have the Sagittor charge in. So the Sagittor is going to go in, gets it with 6. He's going to come in, and he's going to stop our Overwatch. Now, we're going to react to that by using a Heroic Intervention into the Sagittor. So now watch this. We get a 12, that's big. Now, that's actually kind of bad at the same time, because our guys can actually base that, which is kind of sucky. But at the same time, we're going to make use of the old move blocky technique. So, back guy can base up to the back of the Sagittor. So we're going to use the front guy to go and block that. We're going to use max coherency to block as much as possible. To there, can't get a base in there, because we're going to make it a little bigger. So can't get a base in there, probably get a base in there. Okay. Now, can this guy come around the back? Can't move through my own units in the charge phase, so I'll get, like 7 to there, 5 in, so technically yes, so he'll have to go like there, but then he's going to block everyone else getting in over there. Yeah, so 6 to there, the next 6 is there, which doesn't get in. So these guys are now free to move wherever they want. So what I'm going to do, again, as long as they stay close to the Sagittor, I'm going to make a triangle formation, stay an inch out away from the Berserks, and I'm going to, again, just going to make sure I move closer. So I'm currently 9 away, and that is, if I go there, that's 8 away. So I can do that. So I'm going to go like that. So what we've effectively done here now is we have changed, with this Heroic Intervention, the Berserks from having a 4-inch charge into my Death Shroud to now having to go all the way around these cultists. So they're going to have to go, it's like a 6 to there, 6 to there. So it's 12 to get this one guy in, and they'd have to declare the cultist as the charge as well. And then if they come around this way, 5, 5, 2. Yeah, it's basically a 12-inch charge either way, because he can't move through our models in the charge phase. So these guys have effectively move blocked the Berserks now, who have to come around the sides. Let's see their charge. It's a 10. It's good, but it's not good enough to get them there, because 5 gets to here. Another 5 only reaches here, which is outside of the inch of the Death Shroud. And even if he did get it, he'd get this one model in, so make him in 11. One model would go in. The rest would then have to follow the rules of basing. So they'd have to go like this because of movement, in which case I'm getting one guy swinging on my Death Shroud, which is still a much better scenario, and that's even with them rolling really high and me rolling a double 6 when I didn't want it. And I'm only taking 3 hits of a hammer rather than the whole 15. Yeah, the cultists are going to die, but then obviously our surviving unit will swing back and kill the Berserkers. So in this scenario, although we didn't get to Overwatch the Berserks because the Sagittor correctly came in and blocked the Overwatch, we used Heroic to form a literal blockade of meat of cultists that move blocked the Berserks so that they had to charge around. Now do be aware, if units have fly, etc., that's not going to be possible. However, let's have a look at the scenario again with a unit with fly. So let's have, imagine these Berserks somehow grew wings, and we rolled that 12 on the charge again. So we still got to do the basing stuff like we did before. So we got to have those 3 models basing. So we got basey, basey, and basey. But instead, we're going to use the 12-inch move to literally just cover a 1-inch perimeter around our dudes, like that. So in this instance, even though they have fly, they can't physically make a 1-inch charge because they can't end a move within my models. So everywhere they go is going to be outside, let's just make sure, of an inch of my Death Shroud. So you've got to make sure that, like that, like that, like that. And again, just use your coherency the best you can. So even if he comes around here and gets like here, again, you have to get like a 12 to get all the way back there, which he didn't. He only got a 10. So realistically, he can only get to here, which again, he can't finish the move there because that's on top of my models. So really, he's looking about coming round, and all he can really do is surround me, even with the fly, because I've not given him any space to get inside on the Death Shroud. So this one use of free movement from the Heroic Intervention has basically blocked out them being able to engage the Death Shroud. So now the Death Shroud will freely swing at the Sagittor, hopefully kill it, and then in my next turn I'm free to spray away the colours, the berserk, sorry. So yeah, one cool way of using heroic to deny things getting in. And again, if you think about it even more, you could even do it even cleverer. So again, if this wasn't a scary unit, the Death Shroud, and this was like a high OC unit trying to charge in, just make your wall, and when you make the wall, make it off the objective. So now they can't even physically, possibly, get onto the objective if you just make the wall outside of it. Now, obviously, if they do kill the unit, but again, we're saying this is not a good melee unit now, this is just an OC unit. They don't kill it, they can't consolidate on, and you've broke it out. So there's tons of things you can do with this 3 unit of movement to put up these walls and these screens mid-charge phase to stop things like this happening. So I'm going to pass you back to the presentation, Aiden. I'm Table Aiden. And he'll go over this once more just to explain it to you.
And we are back. Thank you very much, Table Aiden. I'm sure you did a very good job. So hopefully what Table Aiden showed you there was using Heroic as a move blocking tool. So basically what happened there is we used Heroic to countercharge the initial target that came in. In doing so, we then followed the limitations of the charge phase and the self-move block trick we learned in the first ever episode of Foetid Fight Phase to manipulate where our models finish their charge. In doing so, we created a living barricade of flesh between ourselves and the second unit the opponent wanted to charge in. This meant that we effectively made sure that only one of our opponent's units could hit the desired targets they wanted, and we've effectively blocked out the second target. Now this is extremely important because this allows us to not only block movement for like getting onto objectives and stuff, but it can control engagements. Maybe our opponent realised that he needed 2 units to kill that unit, but now he's only got the 1 in, so you're actually going to survive and swing back. Maybe it was a Rhino he was about to charge, and he was hoping to kill it with 1 unit, then when you disembark, pile into it with the second one. But now that second one can't pile into them because you've already engaged them in close combat, or blocked them getting into the Rhino at the parts they need to be. So do bear in mind, there's lots of things that you can do with this trick, and move blocking in general in the game is a really powerful thing to get used to, because controlling movement of your opponent is one of the most powerful things in the game. Movement wins games, and at the same time, denying movement can make people lose games. So bear that in mind, and I hope you've learnt something quite cool off that one. On to the next one.
Okay, welcome back to another scenario. So in this instance, we're going to be looking at basically defending an objective using heroic intervention. Now, a lot of tournaments recently have been making it so that objectives can only be held behind ruins by a couple models. So in this instance, the black dice here are representing a wall. Now, originally, before the changes recently, you could probably get about 6 Plague Marines on the objective from behind the wall. It's very hard to flip that. It's 12 OC with fights first. Now, in this scenario, we've only got 2 guys. So we've only got 4 OC on here, plus the cultists. Now, this is a melee army we're against, we're going to say. So these berserks are coming in. Now, they can quite easily look at this and go, okay, cool, if I charge the cultists, I'm going to kill them, and then I have 5 OC to their 4 OC, or imagine if they're even 2 OC each, then it's 10 to thingy. It's bad, and they're going to be able to take the objective very easily. So let's have a look. So they're going to come in with a charge. So let me grab my dice, over here, left them. There we go. So they're going to come in with a charge. So they get a 7 on the charge. So then they're going to come in. So I go 1, 2, they have to base if they can. So go something like that. Now, because we have the Foul Blight spawn in this unit and we have fights first, we can actually, from this point, heroic. So the cultist being here act as bait to bring in the melee unit. We then heroic for 1 command point. We only get 3, but thank this guy's, yeah, this guy's thankfully within 4 of us. So we're going to go in between the gaps. Now you had to make sure you go maximum 2-inch coherency between your unit, because if you look here, 2 inches is larger than a Plague Marine base. So at maximum coherency, you can actually get in between your guys. And then we're going to be able to go like this, like this. It's a bit of a shitter to get 4-inch move, but we can go here, and then he can pile into him. He can go through to there, and then he'll pile into him. We're probably going to lose quite a lot of the guys here. He can go to there for the pilings and whatnot. But again, against this, if it's like a 5-man unit or something, this will be enough damage to hopefully get through and kill. You can actually go to this gap here, and they'll have to come behind the wall here. So we're not only at this point put more OC onto the objective, which is great for us, but then because we've got the Foul Blight spawn, we're actually going to fight first. Now, I know what people are going to say, but Aiden, heroic says you don't get the benefits of fight first when you're heroic. Now, that's true, but it means you don't get the bonuses for charging and getting fight first. However, if your unit innately has fight first, which thankfully this Foul Blight spawn gives our unit,
you still 100% get to make use of that rule. So in this instance, not only have we put an extra, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say it's 5, so 1, 2, 3, so 6, 8, 9 OC extra onto the point. We're also going to get to swing first and potentially kill the berserkers here. Now, if you're in more of a shooting focused army, you just change the layout of the cultists. So the same principle applies. So let's go behind the wall again. Let's get the Plague Marines behind the wall. So the Plague Marines will come behind the wall. Now, the cultists are going to have to die this turn because it's a shooting army. So if we put them out front, they're going to get shot. So we need to make sure that even though they're going to get shot and die, they're going to hold us this objective for a turn. Because again, the problem is if let's say we don't have the cultists here at all. We are behind this wall with like 4 OC on it. Very nice. Our opponent drives up a Devilfish or a Sagittor and goes, drop off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys. Cool, I have 10 OC on the point. You've lost your primary for the turn. And they will rinse and repeat this every turn. So what you need to do is find a way to stop this. Now, the problem with the aforementioned scenario is if we put our guys here for heroic intervention, the same thing happens. They step on the edges, they shoot you instead, they don't melee you, and now you can't heroic on. So instead, we need to force them to charge us. So to do this, we're going to have our cultists actually layered around the edges of the objective. So again, remember you've got 2-inch clearances, so you will be able to cover this entire thing. I'm just obviously doing it a little quick for the video. And you do have to bear in mind your coherency as well. But again, because you've got 2 inches between, I'll just do it properly while you guys can see. So you guys can see it properly. So 2 to there, 2 to there. Bear in mind, they can't move within an inch of your model. It's very important you remember this. So they can't go in between these models, because even though there's a 2-inch gap between them, it's an inch to each model. So they can't move between these models at all. There you go. And then you just put some guys in the center here, and then you tie up the rest there. Just like that. So everyone's within 2 or 2. So why is this important now to arrange it like this? So our opponent now can't just toe onto the objective because this is engagement range, so he can't do that. And if he hops off at the side of the objective and then shoots your entire unit away, then your entire cultist unit dies, which is, imagine the cultists aren't there, he's still on the objective and you've got 4 OC. You're still holding it. The only way your opponent denies you this is by potentially shooting some of them off. So if they shoot some of them, always kill the closest. And then they go for a charge. And now, because they've had to make the charge to try and flip it, you're now eligible to do your heroic intervention trick once again. 1 command point in this gap right here. Get into there, and it doesn't take many Plague Marines to kill like a unit of like half guard warriors or something that's going to flip battle line. Plus, we're putting more OC onto the point, so now we're already out OCing them. We're going to fight first and kill them. So these 2 scenarios are how you play it differently versus melee and versus range. So range, you want to outskirt the objective with your cultist to stop them just walking on and out OCing you. And it also means they can't just shoot you off because they can't step onto the objective. They have to make a charge so that they can get models onto the objective whilst to flip it. Because again, if they just shoot you, they've got no models on the objective, you're still holding it. Now, you will have to be careful. If they have fly models, you want to put 2 cultists like in the middle like this. Again, just to sort of make sure that there's no gaps and that they can fly over and get into the center of the objective. You need to make sure you have it fully screened out on the objective front so that no sneaky tower player can get a stealth suit in or something like that. So something like that would do it. Something like that. Because again, they can't move within those inches of you guys. They won't be able to get a full unit in there, so you'll be okay. So here, you've seen how heroic can be used in 2 scenarios. One with combination of cultists to defend against a melee threat, where you play them more closely, ready for the heroics. Again, if they want to take you off the objective, they've got to charge you and kill you, and then you can heroic in. And against range, where you actually outskirt it to prevent the touch on. And then you're still eligible to make the heroic because you're still within 6 of all these cultists here. So when they finish their charge, you're more than happy to still declare that heroic intervention, and you'll easily obviously kill a ranged unit in close combat with Plague Marines. So this is a way to use heroic to defend your objectives despite the changes to the new terrain where you can't put much guys on safely. Back to table Aiden. No, I'm table Aiden. Back to
Okay, so a little bit more of a complex one there. So as we said,
basically we're making use of expendable screening units. So cultists, poxwalkers, anything that is like 50 points, you don't really care if it dies. They are expendable for a reason. And what we're doing is, because a lot of the new boards are basically wanting you not to be able to hide safely while holding objectives, we're going to use a rubbish unit to hold the objective whilst threatening a very deadly heroic intervention from behind the safety of the objective. This basically means that although yes, we are going to have to sacrifice the cultists, we're more than happy to do that to make sure that we hold primary. And when we perform the heroic intervention, not only are we going to potentially get fight first if you're using Plague Marines with Foul Blight Spawn, but you're also just guaranteeing to get the OC onto the point. So regardless of the outcome of the combat, if that was like 8 bound or something like that, even if you only kill like 2 of them instead of 3, you're definitely going to out OC them, so you're going to hold that. And in the second scenario, against the shooting-based army, we simply repositioned where we put our cultists. They can 100% shoot our cultists to death, but unless they have the ability to move after shooting, they're not going to be able to get onto the point, because again, the shooting phase is after the movement phase. So do beware of that little trick. You have to make sure you ask the questions, can you move after shooting? But even then, again, you're potentially forcing them to waste command points if that's possible, which is still a good thing. The idea is to give the opponent no free or no easy choices. And then if the shooting army actually wants to deny primary and they don't have any of the aforementioned tricks, they'll have to charge onto the objective, at which point you're now eligible to declare that heroic intervention, which puts us in the same scenario as the first place one against the melee army, where we now bring OC and killing units onto the objective. We kill the unit, or we just simply hold it through objective control. This way, we basically are guaranteeing our best odds of securing primary and holding on to it, and that also means it's then going to be stickied for next turn, so if the fight continues, it's going to be even more brutal for your opponent. Or maybe that was the only thing your opponent had to try and disrupt you, so now you're free to move off and push elsewhere. So you've basically, rather than being denied that objective, having to then take it back next turn and then wait another turn for it to be stickied, you have killed them in their own turn. You're now free to just walk off and get going. You've basically put yourself a turn ahead on that unit's impact on the game. That's why it's so important. So do be aware that this is a really cool trick to do, and even if your opponent knows the trick, that's still fine, because they might just decide, I can't engage that, I can't go charge that, because I know he's going to fight first, heroic intervention into it. If that's the case and they just leave you alone, that's working just as well, because you're still holding the primary, and that's all we care about, because primary and objective and points win games. So do bear that in mind. Hopefully you can use this trick. Let me know how it goes if you do pull it off. It's very, very clever, and it's quite difficult for people to play around who don't know what they're doing. So yeah, on to the next one. Okay, so this one's just a real quick recap, because we did technically cover this in the last video, but it is to do with heroic intervention, so we're very briefly going to cover it again. So in this scenario, the L is marking out a wall with a dice. The Berserks want to charge our Death Shroud from behind the wall. So at this point, the Berserks need a 8-inch charge to get in. So let's roll the charge, an 8 perfectly, okay. So in this instance, this first 2 are going to get in. Now, we're going to get swung on by those 2 regardless. The other 2 are behind because of the way they were staged in there. Now, we're going to use heroic to do a unit pin here. So we're going to heroic with the cultists, a 6. And now what we're looking to do is basically touch as many of the back models as possible. So he's going to go right there, he's going to go there, he's going to go up there, and the rest can all just come in willy-nilly. Now, the reason we're doing this is because, again, as we covered in the last video, so I'm not going to go on about it for too long, is when a unit piles in, it has to pile into the closest enemy model. And you can only swing at things in engagement range, which is either base to base, base to base with base to base, or within an inch. Now, at this moment, these 2 guys here are definitely within an inch of a Death Shroud, so we can't do anything about them. If we didn't heroic, these 2 here, plus the back guy, would have had a 3-inch pile in to get onto the Death Shroud, and then the back guy has a very good chance of being able to make it to base with one of the guys at the front. So the entire 5-man unit would have swung at the Death Shroud. But in the scenario we've done here, because the cultists have heroic intervention, these 3 back Berserks are forced instead to fight the cultists, because they can't pile in around, because the closest enemy model is the cultists. I've already base to base them to deny that anyway, and their only eligible target at this point is the cultists, because they're not within an inch of the Death Shroud. So
In doing this, what we've effectively done is we've neutered over half of the unit's output into their actual intended target. So now rather than killing all the Death Shroud, maybe they kill one. And now we have two to swing back and kill them. We're probably going to lose a lot of the cultists in the process, but at the same time, I'd much rather lose cultists than a Death Shroud Terminator. So I'm not going to go over this too much. We did cover this in the last video, and I don't want to feel like I'm recycling content, but it is important to know because it is a trick you can do with Heroic Intervention to use units to pin incoming charges to stop the majority of the output reaching its intended target. Okay, cool.
So yeah, this one's just a very quick recap. Obviously, this is something we've covered in the previous video, but it is important because it is all about Heroic Intervention. So we'll bring it up again. Now it is one command point. It's much more viable to pull this off without having to worry too much about your command points. And basically, we're just using Heroic Intervention to disrupt our opponent's models by pinning their models. Units can only pile in if they're not within engagement range or not within base to base. You can only attack units that are within 1 inch or within base to base or base to base within base to base. But if you manage to catch them in a position where they're not in there and you can base to base them with your own model from a secondary unit, they can't move, they can't pile in. You basically can neuter them and force them to attack your cultist unit, your poxwalk unit, whatever it is that's heroic in. So the idea is we're drawing power and damage away from the primary target into the secondary target, which is again hopefully something expendable. This means that the primary target survives, can then swing back, kill them back, and now we've gone from a situation where we've lost our big unit, our good unit, and the objective or whatever it was you were fighting over, and our opponent got away scot-free, to our opponent has not killed our unit, doesn't matter, do a bit of damage but not killed it. Then we potentially lose some cultists, oh well, but then we swing back and kill their strong unit. So we actually come out on top and we're still holding the space on the board, which is incredibly important. So I'm not going to go too much into it because we've already covered this one. But yeah, this is really good for flipping the expected outcome of an engagement because people don't think you're going to heroically like cultists or something. They think, oh, they're just there. And then suddenly you do it, and suddenly now they can only swing with like 3 guys out of the 10, like, oh god, this is going to go horrible very quickly, and that's what's really good about it, because those kind of tricks, those kind of like little fight phase interactions are what's going to give you the edge over your opponents. Okay, moving on to the last one.
Okay, so one more scenario we're going to use here is basically the use of a rapid ingress heroic intervention. We've talked before about rapid ingressing into Overwatch. Now, it is expensive because you need 2 command points to do it, but bear in mind heroic used to cost 2 command points, and if it wins you the game, it wins you the game. So in this scenario, we've got a Sagittor coming to charge our bloat drone. Now, the Sagittor being OC3, maybe the bloat drone is OC3 as well, so he won't take it off me, but he will stop me holding it in my turn. Let's say this is going to be a really close game, like a real nail biter and every point counts. This charge coming in will potentially lose me. Maybe this is even defense stronghold or something really, really weird. And maybe it's going to deny me that. I'm going to get stuck with it next turn. I'm going to lose 5 on primary. This is a guarded objective, so he's now not going to guard it. So now we're down 10 points on the swing. It's huge. It's massive. It's important. I'm going to, in his movement phase, reinforce objective with a rapid ingress. So I'm going to deep strike 9 away from the Sagittor with this unit of Death Shroud. Now, admittedly, this is an expensive. It's 200 points, but it will shore this objective up as well, and they can then protect it, and the bloat drone can go off and do little things. The Sagittor goes for the charge, gets it. Now, because he has to finish on the objective, at least with 1 inch, he is within 6 now for me to do the heroic intervention. I go for my heroic. I only get a 6 again. It's not been great today on that. We go on in. It's a real simple one. And now suddenly, what was an easy objective flip for our opponent is now instead of dead Sagittor, and we hold the primary. It's a really, really simple one. This one doesn't need over-explaining, but being able to rapid ingress and take your opponent's plans and screw them up is really important. And this can be done with all sorts of things. Again, this could be done with a unit, an actual like dangerous units. Like maybe they've got a unit of, again, let's say that there was the Berserks. Sorry to keep ragging on these Berserks here. But let's say the Sagittor is your vehicle. I don't want to go and grab a rhino right now, but say this is yours. It's quite a long model. So they make their charge, so they get a what? A 12. They have to base this model because they got a 12. So even if they spread it out as max as possible, the entire unit is going to be spread like this. When you rolled your 6, again, if you just do the smart thing of the move blocking, the back guy goes like there. And now
Sorry, the front guy wants to go to there. Front guy wants to go like here. And now he can't get to base, so I'm just going to have him just nudge to there. You can't get through because you can't go through your models. So I'm going to have him actually go there to block him getting into that one. He then goes there, he goes there, he goes there. I'm only going to get maximum 2 of his melee units swinging at my Death Shroud. But because he has to base the base of this model that he's charged, he's had to go around the side and lose a lot of potential thing for it. Now, he could have clumped up a lot more, which is, you know, obviously a potential. But even then, it's like this. And he maybe gets 3 units to swing it, 3 of the guys to swing at me. But again, if we're talking about making impactful plays that are going to change the game, primary holding and denying your opponent flipping your primary is one of the most important things that can happen. So although 2 command points seems a lot, and yeah, you could possibly just do this with, you know, a unit of Death Shroud and a Lord of Virulence and just kill them in Overwatch. But with the heroic, you also do get to get some free movement as well because you dropped in the 9, you then heroicked in the whatever you heroic, so 6. And then still, I've rapid ingress, so in my opponent's turn now, I'm going to get to walk 4 over this way. Maybe there's something I want to charge over here. Maybe there's a wall I just want to hide behind, certain things like that. It's a real simple trick, but don't underestimate the power to rapid ingress. And again, it's always great for baiting. Let's get rid of the objective completely. You've sent up a bloat drone. Again, bloat drones are really annoying to kill. They're not super easy to kill, not super hard to kill. Your opponent sends out a unit. Once again, something extremely like scary, like has to kill it. Like say he's got like some Exalted 8 bound or something like that. Again, I know these aren't exactly Exalted 8 bound, but let's you know, I got some half guard actually. We'll do some half guard. Why not? Half guard action, YOLO. So we get some half guard out with a Carl. Why not? So his half guard come out. So we got 5 half guard coming out. They're gonna come charge this thing. Then suddenly you just pop up nearby. His entire plan is now, oh god, do I really want to charge that thing? Because if he does, again, same thing happens. He comes in with his charge, even if he stays close as much as he wants to. You then get to do a heroic for free. Not for free. You get to do heroic very easily is what I meant to say. It's not free, it's always the command points. So we get an 8 there that time. We come in, and now what seemed like a free kill for his unit is now going to turn into a trade in his own turn. So even though he may kill this bloat drone, we then kill his unit in his turn. Because the idea of trading is you want to get 1 unit for like in your turn, and then they kill your unit in their turn. But now we've killed his unit in his turn, and now we're going to walk off and like kill this Sagittor or these guys here, and now we've gone like a double trade before this unit even gets shot at. So you can see the effectiveness of just surprise heroic interventions can make. You can use it for Mortarion. You know, Mortarion's a big juicy target. Someone wants to send something massive into it. Suddenly some Death Shroud have appeared as well. Odds have been turned a bit now. Mortarion doesn't have the most damage output, so people end up charging him because they're like, oh, I've got a 4-up invulnerable, so I'm probably not going to kill Morty. I'll do some damage to him, but he won't kill me back. Suddenly now this squad shows up, and this is a squad that genuinely will kill stuff with 4-up in ones because it has a lot of attacks and good quality attacks, and they hit on 2s. So instead of Mortarion's 5 attacks, you're going to get 4, 8, 12, plus like 5 or 6 if you've got Deadly Pathogen here. All of which are going to be rerolling wounds, ignoring all modifiers. And again, that's a great thing coming in near Mortarion. You're going to get to make use of the real ones to wound aura and the ignore all modifiers aura. So baiting a charge with Mortarion into a rapid ingress heroic intervention Death Shroud play can get you a lot of value as well. So don't ever forget, rapid ingress is not just be used on the attack or to just move in and get free movement. It can be used reactively as defensive for Overwatch and for heroic interventions. So keep that in mind. It's a great tool to have. It is expensive with a 2 CP because you need one for both strats. But if it works, and it can pay off in a huge way. All right. Thank you very much for joining Table Aiden today, and I'll pass it back to Presentation Aiden to wrap it all up.
So another real simple one to wrap things up, basically. Ingress and intervention, it goes together like Americans would say peanut butter and jelly, even though I think you're all weird for that. Sorry, you are weird. But I suppose it goes for us British people like tea and digestive biscuits. Very nice, yes. Or, I don't know, some other form of, I'm surely not offensive stereotypes. But yeah, it's really good because basically the core idea is that you pre-measure a threat range. So you check what your opponent can move and how far they're going to charge. You make sure you give yourself that 9-inch distance between you and your opponent for your deep striking unit. Now, that doesn't have to mean the bait unit has to be 9 inches away. The bait unit can be like 6 inches away because then you can deep strike 3 inches behind them. All that matters is that the opponent will finish the charge within 6 of the rapid ingress unit.
This allows you to use the bait unit to pull out an exporting unit, so you get something like a bloat drone, and they send over 10 Def Company to come kill it off an objective, because they think, oh, it's behind a ruin, so I can fly over, I can charge it, kill it, and I'm safe in the ruin from shooting, so it's a 3 trade for me. So they move out in the open, ready to charge, and then suddenly, bam, 6 Death Shrouder on the other side of the wall. You charge that bloat drone, I'm piling on through, and I'm going to swing at you as well. Now, suddenly, that unit's probably going to die. Which, again, is really good to throw your opponents off. They didn't see it coming. They didn't expect to lose that unit this turn. You could have really just crippled a flank. And not only that, the Death Shroud is still going to exist and be there. And the important thing is, they might just not take the charge. But again, if they don't take the charge, that's still good for you because bloat drone lives. They're in the open. They're going to get shot. It's a no-win situation for your opponent. Now, yes, your opponent will get to swing at your Death Shroud first if they do that. But they have to base the original models as much as possible. So as long as you are smart with your self-move block, chances are you can probably get away with just being swung on by like 2 or 3 Def Company or something like that if you do it smart. Obviously, you roll double 6, you're kind of up shit street. Where it's one of the weird scenarios where you don't want to roll double 6, but it can happen. But it's a dice game after all, anything can happen. But if it goes well and you roll like a 7, Bob's your uncle, you move in the 6, you're barely in danger, you get swung on by 2 or 3 guys, maybe you lose 1 guy, and then you swing with your entire unit after piling and wipe it out. Yeah, they probably still kill the bloat drone, who cares? You traded 90 points for like 280 points, so definitely winning on that one. So it's simple, but a very effective way of disrupting your opponent's game plan, throwing them off, something they didn't see coming, and it's just like the rapid ingress Overwatch trick, but it's just done with intervention this time. But the good thing about intervention is it's also going to give that free movement. So you basically rapid ingress in, you then heroic, get the charge movement, and then again, then it's your turn, so you can move 4 into somewhere else and then go charge that. So you can have this really cool combo knock-on effect. And again, it is 2 command points for this combo, so it's a little expensive, because again, it's like old heroic being 2 CP. But now the fact that heroic is 1 CP, if it's something you plan around, or just have in the back pocket, it's great to pull out when your opponent least expects it. Like, someone charging into Morty thinking they're going to do a good chunk into him, and now suddenly, like, they're going to die. They were like, oh, Morty's only got 5 attacks, and then suddenly, bam, here's, like, a 6 Death Shroud with, like, you know, what is it, 6 times 4 attacks each, plus Lord of Contagion. A metric ton of attacks that are going to wipe them out. So, yeah, play around with this trick. It's really cool, it's really fun, and it will take a lot of opponents by surprise, and even when they start learning that you're going to do it, they're then hesitant to make any charges in case you do, which is, again, also a benefit and a bonus. So, to summarize it all up, going to 1 command point for heroic intervention is an amazing change. It really, really is. It's really opened up the play of this stratagem and made it a lot more useful. It's like the melee control stratagem. It's the Overwatch of melee, shall we say. And it has many more uses than just getting a unit into close combat. And I hope I've shown you some of those tricks today, and you can go and use them and put wrenches in your opponent's plans. Being creative in the fight phase is one of the most important things. You'd never expect half the things to come out of this. You could heroic just to get a single plague ring to tow onto an objective that your opponent had 1 OC on, and now you've flipped it. Just like that. Just because you had the audacity to do a heroic. You weren't trying to kill what you heroic, you weren't trying to do anything like that. You just wanted to deny primary. Or maybe now you're going to hold the primary. There's tons of little things that can happen. Move blocks, all sorts of things. Pinning units so they can't swing at what they want to swing. Lots of clever interactions, more than just unga bunga, my melee goes into your melee, I smash. So get creative, get practicing, get playing. Let me know if you managed to pull off any of these tricks. I love reading the stories of when you guys managed to successfully use some of the tricks that we've learned in these videos. It's really cool. It makes me like want to make more of them. This is one of my favorite series. It's definitely not the most watched series, but it's one of my favorite ones because I really love the fight phase. It's the most fun phase in the game for me. Shooting's pretty cool, but like melee's where little tricks and cool things happen, so I love it. But yeah, hope you enjoyed it. So thank you so much for watching. Again, check out all of our lovely sponsors on the screen. Vanguard Tactics is there, the YouTube channel, if you want to get coached. I'm one of their Death Guard coaches. I don't know which I'm pointing this way. Check them out for games, battle reports, codex reviews, all sorts of good stuff there. Great content. Saltire Games, if you want to pick yourself up some disgustingly resilient themed gaming aids to use in game, deep strike markers, objective markers, things like that, check those guys out. Use promo code NERGLE for 10% off. And we have an Element Games affiliate link, which is right above me here, and they're all in the description of the video. Use that code, you get a little bit of gems, we get a little bit of kickback, everybody wins. And of course, thank you so much to the YouTube members. All the pictures you see using all of my videos are given by the community of the Disgustingly Resilient podcast and the Death Guard Facebook groups.
I really appreciate them letting me use their art, and I hope they enjoy seeing their models up in the videos. And obviously, thank you for the continued support, guys. You guys are legends. So thank you. And of course, you, the viewer, thank you for tuning in. I know I waffle. I know I talk a lot of stuff. But I hope you do enjoy the videos. I try and make them a little entertaining as well. I try and be a little bit more characteristic and whatnot. But I hope you enjoy them, and I hope you learned something. So thank you so much for tuning in. I will catch you all on the next episode, which is going to be the list of the week coming up to probably tomorrow. So take care, everyone. Stay rotten. Until next time, see you later.